Hello everyone, this is Swati Shastri taking a session on computer networks and security. So we are doing a lecture series on computer networks and security for 5th semester. So this is our second lecture. So before starting today's lecture, let us have a recap of whatever we have learned in the previous class. So what we have learned in the previous class? We started to learn about the principles of network applications. We were in need of, or we learned this topic for the sake of creating our own networks. So in creating our own networks, when we want to create, we are very much interested in learning on what principles is this particular application running. This is what our aim is. So what we have learned is that our application can have or should have a certain architecture. The architecture can be of two types, client-server architecture or PnP architecture. Client-server in the sense, server is a main person and client is the person who is going to take service from the server. So client has to start the communication, he has to speak with the server and server has to respond back. So next kind of a P2P architecture that we saw was peer-to-peer. So peer-to-peer in the sense you don't have any servers. The clients are speaking with each other. So that's the reason that peer. Every client is considered as a peer. One peer or one client is speaking with another client. So any of these two architectures can be there, or you may create a hybrid architecture also. After that, we have also seen through that what is the meaning of process communication. So whatever client and servers are being running, all those things are processes. We consider client process, the process that is running on the client side, who initiates the connection is always a client process, and one who serves that process is called as server process. We have seen that every process has its own identification number through sockets, and that identification number is always called as ports or port numbers. So port numbers are used for addressing. So using this particular address, we give the collected packet or collected data from the below layer to the application layer based on the particular number that is present. We have also seen that there are certain transport services available to the applications. So whatever applications you have certain transport services also for those applications, and they are reliable data transfer. This you can have a service of throughput, maybe timing or security. All four are important. So transport layer may provide these kinds of services. So with this background, let us start today's class. So what are we going to learn today? We are going to learn two concepts today. That is, whenever we consider the principles of network applications, what are the services or transport services that are provided by the internet? That is what we are going to see. And we are also going to see what is the meaning of application layer protocols, and if there are any, which are they? We'll be learning the protocols one by one. So we'll just see an overview of protocols today. So let us begin. When you consider the transport services available by the internet, whenever you consider that, so there are certain applications which are fixed running on the internet that we are making use of that every now and then. So those internets or those applications that we have here is, one application is file transfer. Whenever you consider the file transfer, what all things can be provided to transfer a file? So it can afford to have no loss, it can afford to have an elastic throughput. There is no restriction that you should have a perfect throughput, and it is definitely not time sensitive. File gets transferred now or after 5 minutes, makes no difference for me. Correct? So similarly, if I consider an application that is email application, if I have data loss, it's a huge thing, so no loss should occur. I can have an elasticity to throughput, and I don't have any time sensitivity, not required. Even if I consider web documents like your HTML files and all, when I consider that, so it also has the condition that it should not have any data loss because they are all data sensitive. You need not have a very specific throughput. Throughput can be very elastic. It is not bandwidth sensitive also, and it is not time sensitive also. If there is a delay of 1 or 2 minutes, makes no difference. Similarly, if I consider one more application, that is real-time audio or video play, it is definitely a data loss tolerant. That is, if I have a small breakage of data, if I miss some data, it makes no problem. It has no problem. It runs very smoothly. But what about the throughput? Throughput should be very specific. Throughput is the bandwidth that you get with the speed that you get, the information, the speed that you get. So if you consider an audio file that you are receiving, your throughput must be between 5 kb to 1 mbps. And if you consider video, it should be again between 10 kbps to 5 mbps at least. So if you consider time sensitivity, yes, it is very time sensitive. Yeah, after 100 milliseconds, if it is arriving, that particular chunk is of no use for me. So if I'm trying to have a stored video transport or a audio transport, that is streaming, so definitely they are loss tolerant because small glitches, for example, if you consider any YouTube, you have a small glitch, so it makes no difference for you. It will allow you to run forward, right? So when you consider throughput, it is same as that of real-time audio and video. That is, you have an audio throughput rate between 5 kb to 1 MB and video throughput from 10 kb to 5 MB. Similarly, this is also time sensitive. A few seconds delay might create a bit of problem, so delay is not allowed. So if you delay, you obviously have a buffering kind of thing. Whenever you consider interactive games, small data loss makes no difference for it. Throughput must be up to the mark, and yes, it is time sensitive as well. If you consider instant messaging like your WhatsApp and all, like the way you message in that over internet, over IP is what we call, they definitely can tolerate certain loss. If I lose one or sorry, they definitely cannot tolerate certain loss if I lose one or two words. So I'm going to lose a message, correct? So no data loss is allowed, and throughput is quite elastic. I need not have a specific bandwidth, no problem. If you consider time sensitivity, yes for some time, no for some time. If you are really very urgent and you want to get that instant message there and then, and you do not get that message, it's quite problematic. But if you consider that as a normal file, then you need not be time sensitive. So these are the certain requirements that a transport service are given for the normal apps. So what are the kinds of services that an app can get from transport? Okay, they are basically of two types. You may have a protocol service either as a TCP service, or you may have a UDP service. So whenever you consider TCP service, TCP is a protocol that is running in the transport layer. So that particular protocol provides a service for your application layer. So what kind of service it is giving? So the services that are given by your TCP is of five. I mean, like 5 kinds of services they are giving. So first service that it gives is that it is connection oriented. So the meaning of connection oriented is that you set up a path between the sender and the receiver before you start sending your data. Before you send your data, your connection is already set up. It is something like you're going from your home to your friend's home, and you know where your friend's home is, and you will definitely reach that friend's home. So the point is, when you know where is your friend's home, you will directly go to her home, right, carrying your data. So whenever you're moving to your friend's home with a book, if you consider the book is the data, you are carrying it, so you are a TCP protocol, and you have already set up the path, that is, you already know the route. So even that particular concept has been taken over here. You have a sender, you have a receiver. So the path between sender and receiver you have already fixed. Okay, you know the path and you have fixed it. To fix that, we call it as connection setup. Okay, so that connection setup is required between client and server process so that you can have a communication. So once that particular path is being set up, you can exchange n number of data. So that kind of a service is being provided by TCP, that is called as connection oriented. You set up the connection. Connection doesn't mean that wire. Connection means the path. Okay, you set up the connection and then start sending data. Next kind of service that is available is reliable transport. TCP, when you consider, it sets up the connection and starts sending data. That is the reason that we believe TCP saying whatever data we send from the sender side, it will reach the receiver. That is what we expect. That's why we call it as reliable transport. Third kind of service that we give is flow control. The meaning of flow control is that if, for example, you want to go to your friend's home, give her certain book, okay? So you go to her home and you drop a book there, but she says that her home is completely full and she doesn't have any space to store that book. So what do? You will never, you will not keep the book over there and you will get back the book. As well as if you have any other books going to her or giving to her, you would not give her for that time because her home is full of books, she doesn't have space. So what you're doing, your friend is trying to control the inflow of books coming inside of books. She stopped it, right? So that kind of service is provided by your TCP. So if if receiver is not capable of receiving the packets what sender is sending, it will stop that. So he's going to stop the flow. That's why it is flow control. TCP can control the flow. Whenever required, it will control. It doesn't mean that receiver is standing empty and TCP will not let it receive. No. If receiver is full and it cannot receive, only then flow control will be activated. Okay, so TCP also can provide congestion control. Whenever you consider any network, if a router is overloaded or if a switch is overloaded, if you're using TCP, it can manage that overload of packets. It will reduce the congestion. That is a work of any TCP. What it does not provide is timing, a minimum throughput guarantee, and security. It cannot provide these three things. Timing, within a specific amount of time it can reach. That thing is not possible in TCP. And minimum throughput guarantee, this much of throughput will be given or bandwidth will be given to the receiver. That thing is also not so sure, as well as security is also not so sure. Considering one more kind of service under transport layer, that is called as UDP service. So when you consider UDP service, UDP stands for User Datagram Protocol. TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol. So when you consider UDP service, it is quite opposite of TCP. So TCP was connection oriented, rather UDP will be connectionless. Okay, it need not find out the path. It just moves around, it starts finding where, it's something like you come out of the home and you start checking where your friend's home is. So that is called as UDP service. Okay, and because you are searching the path here and there, you don't know where the path is, that's why we call it as unreliable data transfer. It's not a reliable data transfer, it is always an unreliable data transfer. So it does not provide any connection setup, no reliability, it has no flow control, it has no congestion control, it has no timing, it has no throughput guarantee, neither it has any security. So it is, we call it as like, it is the least bothered service. It is the least bothered protocol. You want to send a message to someone, you just leave that message into air. That message itself has to find out where is the receiver and go to that particular receiver. That is what is the difference of TCP and UDP. So both kind of services are provided by the transport layer protocol. Application layer whichever requires, whatever kind of protocol is required by the application layer, it will make a choose. Like application layer may make a choose from TCP, or it may choose UDP, either one of them. Both the services will not be active at the same time. So that thing they don't do. One packet will not be using both kind of services. One packet will be using either of the service. Okay, so these are the services that are provided by the transport layer protocols. Let us see that which protocol is giving which transport layer protocol is giving support to the application layer protocol. So whenever you consider certain applications like email, whenever I want to do an email or whenever I want to send an email to someone, that time there will be a protocol that will be running on the application layer. So what is the meaning of protocol? Protocol means it is a set of rules. I need to follow certain rules whenever I want to use something, correct? So what is a set of rules that I have? That particular protocol will be choosing one more protocol to run. It is something like if I want to mail someone, it is an application that is running. Your Gmail is an application that is running. So I have an application called as mail. So when I want to run mail, application makes use of its own layer protocol. So application layer protocol, there is something called as SMTP. So that is simple mail transfer protocol. So this protocol will make use of TCP in the transport layer. So there are 5 layers, right? First layer is application layer, second layer is transport layer, then network layer, then you have data link layer. Lastly, you end with physical layer. So inside application layer, I have chosen application called as email. So because I chose email will start making use of application layer protocol. The protocol present inside the application layer, and that protocol is SMTP because SMTP is a protocol that can try to mail someone. Okay, whenever application layer is using SMTP protocol for any of the packet, that protocol will make use of TCP in the transport layer. That is what is happening. So where is it been described? It is described in RFC 2821. So what is the meaning of RFC? RFC is request for commands. It is the largest web document that is available on any of the topic. Okay. If I consider application like remote terminal access, that will be running an application layer protocol that is called as Telnet, and Telnet uses transport layer protocol to be TCP. Similarly, if I consider web, it makes use of HTTP in the application layer. Similarly, it makes use of TCP in the transport layer. When you consider file transfer protocol, you make use of FTP in the application layer, and FTP will make use of TCP in the transport layer. If you consider streaming multimedia, that is your YouTube. So if you consider streaming multimedia, this also makes use of, most of the times it makes use of HTTP, or you can use RTP also under certain conditions only. So either of them, if I'm using HTTP, I should use transport layer protocol as TCP. If I'm using RTP, it will be making use of UDP. Okay. So similarly, I have one more application that is called as internet telephony. If I'm using in the internet telephony, I can make use of either SIP, or I may make use of RTP, or I can use any proprietary Skype, that is proprietary protocols, that is a private protocol that is called as, like for example, it is Skype. So any of these protocols, they always make use of UDP in the transport layer. Okay, so what we have learned is, you have certain application, that application will start certain application layer protocol, that application layer protocol will start some transport layer protocol. Okay, so let us come to what is the meaning of application layer protocol. So till now what we saw was, what are the services that are provided by your transport layer protocol. So what is given by application layer protocol? Application layer protocol gives mainly 4 things, these 4 things. Okay, what are that? First is the type of messages exchanged. So the client is sending something to server, and server is sending something to client. So whether client is sending, what kind of message a client is sending, and what kind of message is server giving back. So that thing is given by your application layer. So client may send a request message, server may send a response message. So which type of messages are exchanged between 2 machines, that is defined by your application layer. Okay. Second thing that is defined by your application layer is message syntax. What is the syntax that the message should follow? Whether it should have to, from, subject, content, what kind of content, what is the format of the content, all those things are given by your application layer. It is called as message syntax. It also provides you message semantics, that is the meaning of the information or of every field. Whatever fields you have, the meaning of every field is also given by your application layer. Lastly, it also gives rules when and how processes send and respond to message. When should a client send a message? When should a server respond? When server responds, what the client has to do? All those things are being defined by your application layer protocols. Okay, so application layer protocols defines four things. First thing it defines is what type of message it is going to exchange. Second is what is the syntax of that message. Third is what is the semantics of that message. And fourth, that what are the rules when and how the processes send and respond to the messages, what is being given by your application layer protocol. So whenever you consider application layer protocol, you will be having two kinds of protocols. One is public domain protocol and one more is proprietary protocols. When you call that public domain protocols, it is publicly available, free to everyone, anyone can make use of it. That is called as public domain protocol, and that is usually defined in RFCs. So this allows, usually it allows interoperability. You can exchange anything. For example, is HTTP, SMTP, you may have FTP also. They are all public domain protocols which have everything fixed. Anybody can use it at any time, and it is still in the market and it is being used by everyone. Okay, so there are something called as proprietary protocols which are quite private enough. You cannot include anywhere, you cannot intrude as and how required, like Skype. If two people are speaking, third person is not allowed. Such kind of controls are available, so they are called as proprietary protocols. So application layer protocols is going to define something. It has two kinds of protocols, public domain protocol and proprietary protocols. So let's wind up the class. What all things we learned today? We have learned two things, that is transport services provided by the internet, which particular application is using what kind of service, that we have seen. We have seen that how application we have also seen about application layer protocols. What do they do? What do they define? There are two kinds of protocols in application layer, that is public domain as well as proprietary. Okay, so we'll continue in the next class about the HTTP protocol. We'll learn that HTTP protocol in detail. Okay, thank you.